everyone. It is Friday. How are you tonight? How are you this? It's Friday. Oh, yes, it's Friday night. And the feeling's right. Oh, yes, it's Friday night. Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night. Tell me about your Friday, folks. What are you grateful for this Friday night? I'm grateful that you are here. And we are at the end of week 42/43. The end of week 42/43. Can you believe it? Can you believe it here? And I am way more 8 than ish tonight. Huh? I know I'm throwing everybody off tonight by being way more 8 than ish. I am messing everybody else up. Hey, Adele and Dazzle, how are you? Great to have you here on this Friday night. I am probably interfering with Dazzle's nap time by being so on time tonight. But it is good to have you all here. Good to have you. We are excited about this day, and Jeremy, Happy New Year! It's going to be a marquee of a year. And we're going to mentor you through it. How's that? How's that for a roundabout? I got all the things in there. It's going to be a marquee of a year. Yeah, I know. Very unlike me, Adele. Very unlike me. But the way this week's been going, I've been way more ish than 8. Way more ish than 8 this week. But that's okay. My peanut gallery says I'm messing everybody up by being on being on when I'm supposed to be on. I'm messing everybody up tonight. But I'm grateful for being here at the end of week 42/43. We're right at the tail end of it, everybody, and that is very exciting. That is very exciting. You've done another one. Pat and the Peanut Gallery are here. Yay, Pat. How are you? How's things in Florida? Great to have you here. And Jeremy, I hear Marquis getting a fancy new New York office. That's driving distance for me. That's it. That's in my. I can be there for dinner. I could do my show from there. I could be live at Marquis' new New York office. I can go to New York. That is in my circle. And I can come back, which is even better. So I can go to the New York office of Marquis, and I can come back to Connecticut, where I live. I can't go to Massachusetts from New York. You can't go to Massachusetts from Connecticut either. Well, I can't technically go to Massachusetts from Connecticut either, but hey. Rules. We'll have to work that out. My peanut gallery, Jeremy, wants to know how close your office is to the new Krispy Kreme, because that's what's really important to them. Can I bring them back Krispy Kremes is what's really important. But I'm excited for you, Jeremy. I'm excited for Marquis, and I'm excited for what this year has to hold. So there's lots of good stuff coming our way. There's lots of great blessings headed our way. It's going to be a good year. Hey, Kitty. Jeremy, but they would send me with a hot bag, like they deliver the pizzas in. They would send me with that to get donuts, and they would make sure that I left the donuts on the heated seat on the way back. So, you laugh, but this is what my peanut gallery would have me do. Hey, Kitty, what kind of Friday did you have? It is Friday. It is Friday. Yes, get ready for that new PPP. We're going to talk about it a little bit tonight, and we're going to talk about it a lot over the weekend. We're going to talk about the new PPP a little bit tonight and a lot over the weekend. You know, we're going to get there. We're going to make sure that you get your share, because this is about lives and livelihoods, and you are a model employer, and keeping it real. That's good. We were steady, you know. I mean, from what I saw, you know, I mean, I'm not disappointed for January in the Northeast. That is for sure. I am not disappointed with today. So I'm okay with how January is shaping up so far. Excuse me. But it's one of many. You know, we're on our way. But we're done with week 42, 43 of this. Done. Tomorrow we'll be done. Tomorrow we will be done, as we will officially close out the week tomorrow. Well, let's get started tonight, because I got a few things to talk about. And oh, there they are. Hey, Patty, great to have you here. Great to have you here. We start this program every night. Patty! We got multiple Patties here. We got Patty Johnson, Patty Jones. I agree, Kitty. The mornings are big get-it-done times. You got to really maximize that. You got to really maximize the morning to get stuff done, and that's what we're doing. That is what we're doing. I'm excited for what people are buying. You know, they're in shopping and they're buying stuff. So it's a good thing. We start the program every night with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book from our friend Lin-Manuel Miranda. Less than 6 degrees of separation. I'm just saying. He may not have a clue who we are, but less than 6 degrees. We can get to him in less than 6 steps. So, like, name that tune. How many notes do you need? Oh, tonight we are on page 76 if you're following along in the book. Good morning. Write a bit, just for yourself. Give that maelstrom in your head a place to land. Look at everything swirling around in there. You know I say it all starts up here, guys. It all starts up here. Let's see what we got going on here. This is an interesting quote, and you got to think about it for a while. This is another one from Simon. You got to think about it for a while, because it needs more than just the quote. So I'm going to throw it out there, for you to digest. We don't just trust people to obey the rules. We also trust that they know when to break them. We don't just trust people to obey the rules. We also trust that they know when to break them. Give that some thought tonight. Speaking of that fancy new marquee office in New York City, retail rents have tumbled to historic lows in New York City amid bankruptcies and store vacancies. Hey, Julie Jankowicz is here. And this is something in commercial space that's happening around the country. It's exasperated in New York, which was at one point the epicenter for the pandemic. But retail rents for space in New York have skidded to historic lows, dropping as much as 25% from 2019 levels, according to the Real Estate Board of New York. And it's interesting, it goes with what I'm seeing. Hey, Michelle, how are you? Great to have you here. It goes with what I am seeing in rents across the country, as I've worked with so many of you on your leases and renewals and abatements and things this year, deferments and all sorts of different things with people's rents, that decreases are coming across the country. that's also going to hit tax base around the country too, because that's going to bring some property values down, and that's going to hurt city and town tax rolls. It'll be interesting to see how this all continues to play out, but there are deals to be had in retail rents right now, so it is something to be aware of, cognizant of, and certainly. It's not a constant that it goes up, and that's what's really to be aware of. That rents can come down, even in places you've been in for a long time. Okay, so just keep that in mind, because that's an important factor to keep in place there as you're working through your year, and stuff going on. I mean, Macy's, as part of their previously announced plan, is closing, has already announced the 45 store closures that they're going to do through the middle of this year. So that's on target. And not really a surprise, but, it's nice to have some actual real statistics with store traffic. Well, I'm sorry yours went up, Patty. Most everything I'm seeing is a downward trend in rents. Most places I'm working with and have been working on rents, they have been going down, or there's been enough give-me's that it certainly gave breathing room. A lot of commercial landlords are doing that. Hey, Michelle, great to have you here. Not that it's a surprise that store traffic was down during the holiday season, but what I did like was some data that came out from Sensormatic. Those are the security towers at doors and stuff that track, that are used for security, but they're also to track people in and out of the store. And according to them, during the holiday period, store traffic was down 33%. But Black Friday was the number one day. Super Saturday was number 2, the Saturday before Christmas. Number 3, the Saturday after Christmas. The second Saturday in December. The Wednesday before Christmas was number 5. And the Saturday after Thanksgiving was number 6. The 10 best day during the holiday period was the first Saturday in January, January 2nd. And a lot of us had commented that already, that it felt like that Friday, Saturday, did they give the Friday a ranking? Friday didn't make a ranking, but that Friday, Saturday was good for a lot of people last weekend, so I do remember that. In an interesting amping up the online / return battle, Walmart is doing something interesting where they are actually allowing people to schedule pickups of their packages for returns. Okay, where their returns, normally you have to take it to a FedEx or UPS place or the post office. Hey, Jennifer, great to have you here. To do your returns. Now Walmart is allowing you to actually schedule a FedEx pickup at your door. That's interesting because it really ratchets it up, and it's not cheap. It's not a cheap service. So it's expensive to add that. My guess is FedEx gave them a massive break on it, and that they're shipping more with FedEx because of that, so that it was sort of a deal with FedEx under the guise of, we'll do if we have, X% of your shipping, we'll already be going to that house anyways, so for a new order, so picking up a return isn't a big deal, but that is a game changer. Amazon, you have to take it to FedEx or UPS, and they've certainly gotten more convenient now that FedEx has a deal with Walgreens, so they're a drop point. But that you can just schedule it at your house, that is a new one. And that is interesting. Yeah, Rose. Well, they really needed to right size their fleet, and it comes down to who's making it. But that's going to be good for the stores that are still around, including yours. Um, they have so much data uh, on what is and isn't working. So, people may be still buying a lot of Macy's, but they're buying online in your area. Okay, so you don't need a Macy's within 60 miles or something. So there's some interesting metrics that they're using in making these decisions, but ultimately it comes down to what's making them money. What is making them money? So there you go. Michelle, you want me to talk about the PPP, do you? I got my PPP. Let's go there because that's what you're really all tuning in to hear a couple minutes about the PPP. As I stated earlier in the program, I'm going to cover a little bit PPP tonight, a lot over the weekend. I've got, I don't know, 100 pages from Treasury up on my and the SBA up on my desk that I have to read. And yeah, I heard about Michigan Avenue Macy's closing. That one was surprising, but it's the death of the flagship, not the death of a department store. So let's talk about that. So I said I'd talk some tonight about the PPP, and I will talk even more about it over the weekend. Okay, I will talk more about the PPP over the weekend. I'm trying to. We're going to come back. We're going to circle back to the employee retention tax credit, but really of prime importance right now is the PPP to so many. So I do want to stay on that. I didn't think the Macy's closures was that big a surprise, but I guess the Chicago one. See, being an East Coaster, I always think of the one in New York City, and I don't think of the one in Chicago. But I had known about that. I'm sorry I hadn't shared that earlier because I've known about that for a while. That one was going to be closing on Michigan Avenue. But it's the death of a flagship. It's not the death of a department store brand. It's getting things right with their stores. Marshall Fields, yes. There you go. There's something. Talk about historic, well-run department stores in its day. So let's PPP for a minute. First of all, to answer Michelle's question up front, no, Michelle, you should not apply for forgiveness yet. They have not released the new they have not released the new forgiveness form yet. Okay, and you want the new forgiveness form where you just have to hold up your hand and say, I am a good person, I used the money like I was supposed to. That is the form that you want. Their portal does not, but it does not have it yet. So you do not want to go for forgiveness if you have a loan under $150,000 until they are ready to process it under the new guidelines. And your bank is not ready for it yet because Treasury and SBA have not issued the form yet, and the format that they want it in. But it will be simple. You are still required to keep records, and that is the ultimate thing with this. So with forgiveness, even though most of you will receive streamlined forgiveness, yes, you just wait. Patience, Michelle, patience. You just wait. Have another glass of wine. You just wait. Go next door, pick up a bottle. even with the simplified forgiveness, you are required to keep records that shows that you spent the money the way you were supposed to. 60% on payroll, 40% on allowed expenses, and during the covered time. The big issue with all of this, and it is going to take a little bit of work. The big issue is all of these programs cross over, okay? The PPP, the Employee Retention Tax Credit, various grants that you're going to be able to get through your state or through your chamber or through other groups that you're going to find yourself a winner of, okay? Because like Julie said, you keep on applying for grants. You keep on applying. The issue you are going to have with those, okay, is duplication of benefits. You can't... you make me laugh on the screen here, Michelle. Duplication of benefits, DOB, okay? Not your date of birth that they're checking at the liquor store because you're so young, okay? DOB, duplication of benefits. You can spend money, you can't spend this money for the same thing for the same period of time. Okay, you can't spend PPP money at the same time for the same period you're using an employee retention tax credit. You can't spend idle money on payroll for the same time that you're spending PPP money. You can't spend grant money that's supposed to be for payroll at the same time during the same weeks that you're using PPP money. So the important thing is we all have all these expenses, okay? If you've been in business more than 5 minutes, you have all these expenses, okay? And so the key thing is mapping this out so that you know exactly what you're claiming for what period of time. So that way, a couple of years down the road, so that you can create your file and put it aside. Because you're not going to need it right now, but a couple of years from now, there's going to be some moron in Congress, okay, and they're going to launch an investigation and say there was all this duplication of benefits and everything, and all these people got double money because they got this thing and they got that thing, and they couldn't use them at the same time, but they did. And we need to audit them. And some ruling's going to come down that we have to audit X percent of the loans, of the benefits we gave out, X percent. And it doesn't matter what the amount was, we're going to do X percent of the ones that are under 50,000, X percent of the ones up to 100, all these different ranges, and they're going to audit X percent. And you want to be able to say, yep, here's my file right here. So you want to have all your ducks in a row for this, okay? That's the real important part. Even though you're going to be able to hold up your hand and say, I did use this money correctly, I spent on, and it kept jobs, and that's what I did, and that's how I spent it, I want streamlined forgiveness. You're going to be able to get that today, but that forgiveness is subject to audit. So just keep that in mind, that we need to make sure, and I want you to have the periods down that you used each one of these things precisely, so that while it's fresh in your head, because a couple of years from now, when it's not fresh, and some intimidating auditor, and they're pencil neck geeks, okay, they're just geeks with calculators, comes in from the state or from the federal government or the IRS and says, I want to see your books for this, you can say, yep, here's my Neil file. Take that. And so I just want you to have your ducks in a row for that. And I'm happy to have a conversation about anybody's personal ducks to make sure you're okay with it, because I want you to, especially with the payroll bean counters, well, you know, they get geeky when they're bean counters, except for when they work for the state, Carolyn. When they work for the state or the federal government, they become geeky. They think they have way more power than they do. Bean counters, no, they just count beans. So I want you to have all your ducks in a row. And I am happy to help you get your ducks in a row, because you're going to have some, you're going to need to look at how you've already spent money. Look at next week when we start dealing with the employee retention tax credit on top of this, that many of you are going to be able to take advantage of in some of the many of you are going to be able to take advantage of that on top of the PPP. We just need to realign everything and make sure all your things are aligned before you go for forgiveness, because I don't want you to misstate anything for the periods that you use things, because it is a little bit confusing. Okay, it's a lot confusing. My peanut gallery asked me to, step through some of it today, and was thankful that I'm doing it for our company, but she's like, how are we going to do this? And we have to do this very carefully, because that is what people are going to go after, is duplication of benefits. They'll go after fraud in application, which none of you have committed fraud in application, but it's going to be real easy to make a simple mistake and end out with duplication of benefits. So my job is to make sure that you don't duplicate your benefits, but that you maximize your benefits. And you have happy ducks that are in a row. Happy ducks. Quack. They will quack. I want all your ducks quack. It is very confusing, but there's a lot of areas, and I think of like Julie and Kitty and Joanne and Marianne in Illinois, our Illinois contingent, nightly contingent, live contingent, who are going to be able to get the second PPP. They're going to be able to get the employee retention tax credit. Julie's already the queen of grants, which is awesome. But we just have to make sure that none of these paths cross, because then you end out in the duplication of benefits. So we'll play with that, but that's going to require some phone calls. And one of the biggest things will be that PPP forgiveness, because when you file for PPP forgiveness, you're doing it under pains and penalties of perjury. And that is a serious high crime and misdemeanor. Okay, that is a very serious thing. We don't do things under, pains and penalties of perjury is bad. Okay, and I do not, that's how they then get you for racketeering, and wire fraud and 20 other crimes. But we are a crime-free zone here, because we are good people doing things right. And doing right by our people, but I don't want you to get mixed up in that. So that is the real issue, and forgiveness is state periods incorrectly. So we just need to check on that. And since they've given increased flexibility not only in the forgiveness process for the PPP, but in the periods you can use for it. We just want to make sure we maximize that, so we then maximize the employee retention tax credit for those of you that are going to be able to get that as well, which many are. And I just don't want to muddle the water too much, PPP in that. There are no Al Capones in NARTS. There are none, no. But, I want to make sure we get everybody. But that's also, so as we open up, and it's been in the news headlines today that the PPP will open back up on the 11th. It will open up for initial applications on the 11th to minorities in underserved communities through the community development initiatives that I talked about last night. Those banks open up on Monday. Those community development funds for first-time PPPs for minorities and underserved communities. second draw PPPs open up for that same group on Wednesday. Okay, second draw PPPs open up for that same group on Wednesday. It is expected that either late next week or early the following week, so that puts us at the 10th, at the 18th. By the 18th, it will open for those of us that are eligible that are not minorities or not served in an underserved banking area. And so you got somewhere around a week it should be open. Again, the biggest thing you need to be able to do is prove that you're down 25% in one quarter, although you may not have to prove that for your application. You may just have to hold up your hand and say you are. That's all fine and dandy, but if you don't have to prove it at the time of application, but if you can't actually prove it, do not apply. If you can't actually prove that you were down 25%, do not apply for a second PPP. Do not do it. It will be bad. How bad? Really bad. Okay, because you will end out with a really bad loan. And I do not want you to have a really bad loan. I do not want you to have that. Some of you got payment books for your first PPP. Did that payment sound exciting? Did that say, woohoo? No! No! I do not want you to have a loan. I want you to have something that is a quarter in 2020. One quarter in 2020 has to be down 25%. Okay? So if you may just be asked in the application not what quarter and not how much, not asked to prove it. You have to prove it for forgiveness. Okay? But hey Kelly, great to have you here. But it is not a requirement for application. Okay? 25% down in any one quarter, 2020 versus 2019. One calendar quarter, 25%. Gross sales. Has to be down to get a second PPP. Otherwise, you don't get a second PPP. Do not get a second PPP. Okay? On Monday, the SBA is starting to take applications on Monday. They are from minorities and underserved banks, community development banks that are handling those starting Monday. Second draws for that group start on Wednesday. They haven't announced the dates for everybody else, but it's expected to either be by Friday or the following Monday, the 18th. I will keep you in the loop as I know more. It will start while the current president is still president. That part I can tell you. Even if it includes the quarter in which you received the first PPP, Michelle, that is correct. You can take a second, even if you're down quarters, the quarter you got your first PPP. When you got your first PPP has no relevance. The only relevance to your first PPP has to your second PPP is that you have used it all up. Not enough, Rose. Not enough. Not enough for the sake of this. Okay. They haven't included women in this group officially yet. Okay. Believe me, I try to pull that woman card sometimes. And, and sometimes it does work. I'm not expecting it this time. But it's also with that bank. It's not as quickly as you would think, Kathy. And these underserved communities are really, they have a lot of other obstacles to getting these applications in. They don't have our community. How's that? Let's start there for it. they don't have our community to support them in doing it, and there's a lot of mistrust of the process and charts, even with being first in line. Julie, you would be surprised at how well that actually does work for me without dressing. Surprised at how well that works for me even without dressing up. I'm pretty good at a lot of things. But the key also is with a second PPP, okay, to use the bank or company that you got your first PPP from. So wherever you got your first PPP, they are in services. Melissa never sent me the Russian red. Okay? Why are they suggesting that you use the same bank or financial services? You are not required to. But if you use the same bank or financial service firm that you used to get your first PPP, the SBA waives the requirement on paperwork. You do not have, one more step, and you use 2019 payroll figures versus 2020, and you use 2019 payroll figures for your first PPP, then you are allowed to skip any proof of paperwork for your second application for proving your payroll records, because your bank already approved them the first time around. So sticking with your existing bank will make the process easier for your second PPP. This is all coming together and being written, the ink's not dry on any of this, like most things with the SBA and Treasury have been, but it's so important that this gets out to you soon. So, the reality is you can expect it to come out this month. The amount of money, to answer Kathy White's question, that's been allocated to this, is, more than what was in the first round of PPP, and then they refilled it. So you're talking about originally, there was a total of about $550 billion. Yes. PPP for the exact same amount. If you do everything the same, you will have less paperwork and it will be streamlined. The approval of it will be streamlined. That is what the SBA is asking for. That's why they're asking you to use the same financial institution, and they've made it easier. If you go to another financial institution, you will be required to do all the original paperwork that you did. Now, why would it be if your 2020 payroll was significantly higher than 2019, it would be to your advantage to redo the paperwork even with your existing bank. Okay? But for most people, it's going to be lower, unless you offer a significant portion of your people health insurance benefits, which always go up. For most people, it is going to be lower. So it is worth using just the 2019 numbers. It's worth being aware of the 2020 numbers. I mean, I would do a quick run of your 2020 numbers to see if it would yield you any additional money. But if you stick with everything that you already did in the first application, your application will be streamlined at the exact same bank/financial institution that you used the first time. That is the whole idea. They are as well as government can do it, they are trying to make this simpler. They really are. Jovita and Steve, they're really trying to do it. Yes, the whole idea, Kelly, is it's the 60-40 rule. 60% on payroll, 40% on other things. And you want to keep that in mind because in most cases, we talk about duplication of benefits. To maximize the other benefits, we don't want to spend too much more than 60% on payroll. But it also opened up the classes of things that you can spend the other 40% on. So other business operating expenses that you can spend the 40% on is the real key. And we really want to maximize because many of us, and like Kelly, and I haven't gotten back to you yet, although I saw your email today, there's incorrect information that you're basing that number on for the employee retention tax credit. You're going to qualify for much more than that, much more in your state. I know that, and I will discuss, but I don't want to confuse it with the PPP. I just don't want to. Right now, the important thing is the PPP because that is extremely time sensitive once you have the ability to apply. And the banks are excited about this. This is a lot, Michelle. There's a lot to take in. That's why I said I'm only talking a little bit about it tonight. I still have 100 pages worth of reading to do. I'm going to put it under my pillow and see if I just take it in tonight. Yes, Michelle, yes to all of that. The idle advance will stay a grant, okay? That will be a grant, and if you receive less than 10K, you will receive the balance. To the best, yes, we will discuss that later next week. Tax credit, because the employee retention tax credit is going to help many people that tune in regularly. Okay, I know it's going to help all the people in Illinois. I know it's going to help New Mexico. I know it's going to help Connecticut, Massachusetts. I know all these things. I know it's going to help New York people. There's states that I can rattle off that I know off the top of my head it's going to help. It is going to help others as well, but there's going to be many that it's going to help. But right now the focus is the PPP. And so, Michelle, you'll get to keep the advance. And it'll automatically convert to a grant. If you receive less, the SBA is supposed to be auto-fulfilling it, and you're supposed to wake up one day and have the extra money in your account. I'll have more details on the extra money coming on that later on. Kim, we should revisit it, okay? About it, okay? Now with the rule changes, we didn't do it because you got to keep the other advance as a grant, if I recall in our last conversation. But we should revisit your situation because, as I recall, that's the reason we did not do a PPP is because you wanted to keep the idle advance as a grant. Now that the idle advance is going to stay a grant on its own, doing a PPP on top of it may make sense. And we should certainly revisit that. Feel free to email me and I'll hop on a call with you and we can rerun those numbers. But, I want you to have everything that you're entitled to, and you're less likely to be able to maximize in Texas, to be able to maximize the employee retention tax credit. You're not going to be able to maximize it the same way some other states are in Texas. Um, and that deals with some other things. Again, I'm trying to. It all comes together, all this stuff, but I want to. I can go off the deep end and spend hours just on the employee tax credit, and the PPP is very time sensitive. So I will have more on this. So for most of you, plan on being ready for it the end of next week. Worst case, a week from Monday. It should be open for everybody, and it could have the money because because they've eliminated a lot of the other loans. So you got to keep in mind, as much as I worry about them blowing through money. Uh, uh, we are on a duck thing tonight. As much as I appreciate the concern of the PPP running out of money, remember that when they refunded it and brought the total available money up to $500 billion, that money was never completely used up. That money wasn't completely used up. They had an extra, let's call it $50 billion left in that at the end that was repurposed into this new program. And in this new program, they've eliminated most people from it. They've eliminated a lot of businesses from it. So that's where they came up with only needing the money that they put up for it. They did special set-asides for these minorities and these underserved populations and financial institutions, which are just small cutouts. But those groups, I do feel bad for them because not all of them get it. It's sort of like Kelly, the person you're trying to help. They don't understand all the programs. They don't have all their paperwork in a row. They don't have the support network you guys have. And so even with all this set-asides, it's not going to go away. Yeah, don't file your 941 yet. Hang on to that for a little bit longer. You'll still be able to go back and get it. Just some of the money is easier to get if we can avoid filing your fourth quarter one yet. You don't have to file it yet, so if you can hang on to that for just a little bit longer till we talk a little deeper about what we can do with employee retention. Some of the payroll services are really bad about just auto-filing it. In your case, Jennifer, we may have to, because you deal with one of the big guys, we may have to go back and just file and amend it at the time. Not the end of the world. It's just easier if we can catch it before then. And they're not the best. While they have great tools, they're not the greatest at serving their small clients, even when the rules change. So, yeah, I don't have a perfect answer for that one, because they may file it automatically for you. But we're going to talk a lot more PPP this weekend. I promise you. I'm going to get through that reading. It's light read. No, it's not light reading. It's not light reading. But I'm going to get through it and just make sure that I don't have any other hiccups in there for you. Key things is know that when you're 25% down. So define it, have the numbers available, okay? Do in 6 months and say, well, I thought I was 25% down. How could I have not been, but I'm only 22% down? Well, that's too little too late. Okay, I do not want you to be saying that. Know it in advance. Know it in advance. Which is Self-Care Sunday Eve. Self-Care Sunday Eve and the recipe of the week come out tomorrow. You could always be the recipe of the week by emailing me at Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com and have your this week. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. And it's got a story to it, so that makes it even. This video and everything I talk about, you can tell them that someone has it. I mean, you have such a small team, Michelle, it's not going to be hard to figure it out. That's the hard balance right now is privacy. Okay? This disease has been a very public disease, okay? But, as the employer, you can notify people, but or you can say it out of abundance of caution. She may have come in contact with somebody, and out of abundance of caution, she's quarantining. I would, I would avoid naming names, but but all of us are coming in contact with it, Michelle. So it's nothing to feel ashamed of, and everything else. Every business in the country, every person in public runs the risk of coming in contact with it. This video and everything I talk about, everything, all the files, everything I talk about goes over to narts.org/resalestrong by noon the very next day. Noon, I tell you. There's all the files there, including the recipe of the week, anything I quote, and there's a direct link to the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when a new one drops. Yes, you can find out when a new one drops just by ringing that bell. You can also share that page with everybody you know in business so we can help everybody across the finish line. Butcher, baker, candlestick maker, whatever they are, whatever they do, whoever they are, we want to help them get through. I am here every night at more 8 than ish Eastern, live in the Narts private Facebook group, where you get to ask me your questions live and I update you on what's happening. But if you have a question in between, you just email me, Neil, Neil at ECIstores.com. Neil at ECIstores.com is where you find me. Water there. Got to wet the palate there. We start this program every night with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book is how we start this program. Tonight, if you were not here at the top of the program, we're on page 76. Good morning. Write a bit, just for yourself. Give that maelstrom in your head a place to land. Look at everything swirling around in there. Woo! Our good night tonight is good night. Write some thoughts down for yourself. Grab what you can. Pin it to the page. Look at that. How long you been hanging on to those? Good night. There's your graphics, folks. I'm not showing it well. I got to get a better... There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, a cookie swap. I don't know. What else can we party about? We can party. But until we can party in person, know that I will be there with you when we can. I will. I promise. I will be there. Whenever we can party in person, I will be there. But until then, know that you... And you, and most importantly you, yes you, you're not alone running this store. I'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Have a great night. It's time for dessert.